Welcome to our second free class on SQL. Let's get going. So today we're going to deal with schemas, foreign keys, primary keys, and then we're going to finish up with joins. So what is a schema? If you've ever looked at a database, you know that a schema is a structure of the database. For example, we will be using a free open source database called Northwind that was prepared by Microsoft, and we use it to learn. And Northwind has customer tables, it has product tables, and we could actually find it here. Schema, Northwind. So we could actually come and find this. I think this is by Gigabyte. So let's use this. So here it is. You can see this is what we are referring to. You can see it has table categories, which has category ID, category name, description, picture. It has products, suppliers, employees, employee territories, orders, order details, customers, customer demo, demographic, shippers, and your statistics. So this is what we are calling the schema, which is just the structure of the database and the various relationships that exist. So anytime you hear the word schema, note that is what it means. And then we have a primary key, which is a unique identifier in every table. Every table has a unique identifier. For example, categories, the unique identifier is category ID, products, product ID, suppliers, supplier ID. So we need this primary key to be able to identify each row uniquely. So that is the primary key. How do you create the primary key? I will be showing you a site where you can go and run these commands, but for manipulation of the data, you'll not be able to do it because it's open source and you just go and do the selects, the where, and manipulation of data, but you'll not be able to manipulate the data base structure. So this is how you create the primary key. So this you can try somewhere else, like create table. So you need to create a table customers. Customer ID is an integer and it's a primary key. As you note at the bottom here, we have noted that it is a primary key. And then you'll have not null means that every time we will have a customer ID. And I'll actually just show you the site right now. Go to sqlpractice.com and then let's just paste this command here, or this SQL command. This will not work because they have hosted the database for you, but you can see now, at least now it's demarcated. You'll see create table. So this is the syntax. This is a table name. These are the column, customer name, and then we have contact. We have contact there. We could bring that here. Just a moment. So that we have, so that we have these at least structured in a way that is understandable. We have the postal code. And then finally, we have the country code. So, or the country, I mean, and then there, and then the city. So as I was saying, this is a primary key and it's denoted with not null. How do I know it's a primary key? Because I have given down here a reference to it. Primary key, customer ID, then customer name, contact name, address, city, postal code, and country. Remember, we talked about the various data types in our last lesson. That is a varchar, we talked about integer, we talked about float and boolean. So that is how you create a primary key. And I've just explained to you what the various things mean. But then we could have foreign keys, which are usually, foreign keys are usually primary keys in other tables. For example, if you go to the orders table, you can see customer ID is here, but customer ID is a primary key in the customers table. So when customer ID goes to orders table, it becomes a foreign key. So note that it's usually a primary key in another table and then it's used for reference in the other table. So we use foreign keys to enforce referential integrity between the tables because we are referring to the other table. Then we have the basics. That is how you create it. It's most of the similar to what we were doing with the primary key. But here we are altering the table that has already been created and adding in a reference to the foreign key. So then we have composite keys. And if you looked at this, there's a table, order details, that looks like it has two primary keys. We have an order ID and we have a product ID, then unit price, quantity, and discount. So these two keys are what ensure that order detail has unique rows, because you could have in one order ID, or in one order you could have various products, you could have more than one product. So how would you uniquely identify that order? Unless you have the product with it, so that you tie in the product and one order, an order ID and one product. That makes the composite key. So the composite key, as we're saying here, if you look, a composite key is a database. In a database, a key consisting of two or more columns in a table that together uniquely identify a record in that table. So if you look at what I'm showing you in the Northwind database, in the order details table, this table could have a composite key consisting of order ID and product ID. Neither order ID nor product ID uniquely identifies an entry in order details by themselves. Because as I'm saying, you could have more than one product in the same order ID if the customer has ordered more than one product. So, if you combine them, now it becomes unique to that particular product. I hope that sinks in. So you've looked at the primary key, which uniquely identifies a row in a table. We've looked at foreign keys, which are usually primary keys in a table, but they have been referenced in another table. And then we have looked at the composite keys. So we need to look at modifying data. How do I add a column? How do I remove a column? How do I update? So adding a column, as you're saying, you alter the table. Anything that has this, let's just take it. Please do not do what I'm doing. Ensure you write these commands so that they sink into you, especially if you are a SQL beginner. So alter table orders. And then what do? We add this column. This is the column name and this is the data type, a float. So what are we doing here? We are modifying an already existing table orders and then adding a column, discount rate, and the data type is a float. How about modifying the column? For example, say we wanted to convert this from an integer, from a float to an integer. You do the same. What you do is, the capital letters do not make any difference, but you could choose either to use capital letters, or you could choose to use lowercase letters. So as I'm saying here, what we will do is you alter what table is this column in. Alter the column and then the discount rate, and then we're changing the data type from float to integer. So make sure to note that. Please do not just copy and paste these commands. Ensure that you understand and comprehend what we're doing. So what if we want to update a column? Let's just copy this. So we have a table orders here. If you look at the table orders here, we have the table orders. And the table orders it should have a ship name. Here you can see it's text or a string. So what if we want to set the ship name to new ship name for an order? You have to identify that particular order. Order 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's first of all see what is. So I'm telling you this is open source, and select all from orders. So let's see if we could have an ID. Let me just refresh this. So I didn't change to Northwind. So let's just remove that. So this, you have to change the database there. So let me just select all from the orders table. It should be called orders, and then just select it and run selection. So you can see I have this order ID. So as you're saying, we want to update this record. So if we want to update, we have to use the where clause. I'm going to be explaining this in the subsequent classes. I was just showing you an example of how you can update. So you have to use the update syntax and then the table name and then what column do you want to change, and then what do you want to put into that column, and then what is a unique identifier of that column. So you need to understand that sequence and be able to do it. So after updating now, you could delete a record. So for example, alter table orders and then drop the column. What column do you want to drop? And then the name of the column. I'm not going to be showing you that. But now we can do practically this because we are not altering the database structure. So joins in SQL. So what is a join? A join is a method for combining rows from two or more related tables, and then but they have to have a related column in between. So you can't just go and combine columns without them having, or you can't just go and combine tables without them having a related column. For example, an inner join, which is what we're going to look at, we have four types of joins: an inner, a left, a cross, a right, a full join. That is five. So an inner join will retrieve records that have matching values in both tables. For example, we have a table orders and a table customers. Let me just show you how you put that in. So first of all, you could get all details from both customers and also get all details from orders so that you understand what exactly is in the customer table. That's a customer table, and what exactly is in the orders table. So let's get going. So an inner join, what do I want? I want to get all the records that are in customer table and also in the orders table. So select what columns do I want. From the orders table, I want the order ID. So as you can see, I want the order underscore ID. And what other column do I need? So what do I need from the customer side? The customers, I want to get the customer name, but I think it doesn't have the customer name, it has the contact name. So those are the two columns that I want. But then from what table do I want to be the main table? The orders table. The orders. And then what do? We inner join with the other table now. So what are we inner joining on? Inner join customer is called customers dot customer ID, because we have customer ID as a primary key in the customers table, on orders dot customer ID, because we have it as a foreign key in that table. So what are we going to do? We are inner joining. I think I made a mistake here. This should be so what are we inner joining? It's from orders table and inner joining customers on. So what are the related columns? So customer ID should be equal to the orders ID, so that we have that similarity. Let's see. So you can see we get the order ID. As I told you, these are the two columns that we want: the contact name and the order ID. And you can see you're able to do that very, very easily. So once you have been able to do the inner join, go ahead and look at the left outer join. This will give you all the details on the left table, and then if there are no details that match on the right table, it returns null. For the right outer join, it's the opposite of the left outer join. So I expect you understand that. And then for the full outer join, it combines the result of both the left and the right outer joins. It returns all the records when there is a match in either the left and right table. Please go and try these commands on sqlpractice.com, and do not just copy them from here. Also, I've deliberately left some of the names not correctly written so that you find that out as you do the challenge. And then cross join, this is where all records, this is where it produces what we call a Cartesian product of two tables. It returns all the records where each row from the first table is combined with each row from the second table. So those are the joins. That is the cross join, the full outer join, the right, the left, and the inner join. Make sure you try these on sqlpractice.com. And that is not all that sqlpractice.com offers you. So after you've been able to do and go through the lesson 2, please come here to view all questions, and then just try and do as many questions as you can. So how do you access a question? Just click on it, and then if you're facing an issue, get a hint. If the hint doesn't help you, you could go to view the solution and just skip, and then you'll have that. Then you just take it and paste it there. Try and understand what exactly they're doing, and then from there you will be able to complete the challenge. I would highly recommend you look at this. So see you in lesson 3. Please ensure you subscribe and comment what you have enjoyed from this lesson. Bye bye.